What's up, everybody? My name is Dana Harris with Young Gurus Math Tutoring, and I'm here to bring you some more math jewels. Today I'm going to be covering factoring polynomials, but we're going to keep these as some simple polynomials. We're just going to do polynomials where the leading coefficient is 1, so these won't be as tedious as factoring can be. Now, let's go ahead and get right into the examples. Example 1, I have y squared plus 6y plus 5. Now, remember, let's think about what a factor is. So, when I talk about factoring, we have this trinomial. And in order to get this trinomial, we can multiply two binomials. So our goal is to find out what two binomials I can multiply to get this trinomial. Now, since I have the middle term is positive and the last term is positive, we call this the B term and the C term, and I'm going to have plus here, plus here. The only two factors that I can multiply to get y squared are y times y. Now, when I look at this, I need to look at the factors of 5. Well, 5 is a prime number, so the only factors are 1 and 5. So 1 and 5. Now, you can switch those. You can say y plus 1 and y plus 5. Y plus 5 times y plus 1, because remember, multiplication is commutative. So in this case, the order that you put the factors doesn't matter. All right, let's go example 2. All right, example 2, we have r squared plus, actually I want to say minus. Let's go minus 11r, and then plus 28. So r squared minus 11r plus 28. Now notice the B term, the middle term is negative, and the C term is positive. So in order to multiply two numbers to get a positive, but if we add those same numbers to get a negative, we have to have minus and minus. So here, that's minus and that's minus. And once again, it's because if I take a negative times a negative, I'll get a positive. But if I add those two negative numbers together, you'll get this 11. So here is r and r there, because the only two factors that I can multiply to get r squared is r times r. Here, I need to figure out what two factors of 28 I can add together to give me 11. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 and 7, because I know that 4 times 7 is equal to 28, but 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. And in this case, if I have negative 4 plus negative 7, that will give me negative 11 when I add those together. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Let's do example tree. All right, example tree. I have z squared plus 2z minus 8. Now notice the middle term is positive and the last term, or the C term, is negative. So in order to multiply two numbers to get a negative, I have to have a positive times a negative. The signs have to be different. All right, so I can say plus and minus, and it doesn't matter. You can put the minus sign first and the plus sign next. It doesn't matter. All right, so here's z times z, because those are the only two factors that I can multiply to get z squared. All right, now I have to figure out what two factors that I can multiply to get 8, but if I add them together, they'll give me 2. All right, so in this case, it's going to be 4 times 2, but we have to strategically place these factors, because this middle term is positive. So I need my larger factor of 8 to go next to the plus sign, because I want this middle term to be positive. So this is z plus 4 there and z minus 2 there. 4 times negative 2 gives me negative 8. 4 plus negative 2, or 4 minus 2, gives me positive 2. All right, and these are our factors. And actually, if you actually multiply these two binomials together, you should get the trinomial that you started with. And one thing I want to show you is when we look at these factors and we come up with these factors, always remember that you can check your answer using the FOIL method. So for example, if I take the first term, z times z, and then multiply those together, that'll give me z squared. If I take z times negative 2, that'll give me minus 2z. If I take 4 times z, that'll give me plus 4z. And then I take 4 times negative 2, that'll give me negative 8. Alright, so if I combine these two middle terms, negative 2z plus 4z gives me 2z. So notice, notice that should be positive. But notice this is what I started out with, and that should work every time. Whenever you get the factors of a trinomial, if you use the FOIL method, or you can use whatever method there's multiple methods that you can use to multiply these two binomials. When you multiply those two binomials back together, you should get the original trinomial that you started out with. All right. Now, one last example I want to do. And let's say I want to do t squared minus 3t minus 10. Notice I have a subtraction sign here and a subtraction sign there. Okay, so here our symbols are going to be different because in order to get this negative 10, I have to multiply a positive times a negative. I put t here and t here because t times t gives me t squared. Now, what two factors of 10 can I add together to get 3, or as I like to say, tree? And in this case, we're going to say 2 and 5. Notice I put the 2 with the plus sign because I need the larger factor to be with the minus sign since this middle term is negative. So if I take 2 minus 5, that'll give me negative 3. Okay? And once again, we can put these back together, multiply them, and we should get t squared minus 3t minus 10. Remember, always check your work. If you're unsure about your factoring, always go back and check your work. Dana Harris, Young Gurus Math Tutoring. I've got the solution to your math problems.